All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And hello all, welcome to the show. We have quite the show for you on this Friday. Kim is with us off of her major commitment to the other show she does, and then another commitment to another show she does. So I really appreciate her participation. Albert is here.
Albert, thank you.
I will say this about Albert, I must tell you right away. His mic cable is broken, of course, because this is the Mark Thompson Show. And
they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
They do it to me all the time. So Albert will communicate with the ding. He will use the ding to say yes. Literally, Albert is unable to speak. So that is the important development you need to know.
Producing this thing
has no idea.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
I'm just saying, Albert, I might have checked it. But to be fair, I think that is the kind of thing that sneaks up. I hate to be fair, but to be fair. Wow, somebody's already contributed. Jim Slayton is a big supporter. Jim, we love you. I like turtles and RV parking lots. Yeah, I come from regular stock.
I come from regular stock.
That corrupt Clarence is back in the news. I will get to him. It is a pleasure to have you here. If you're new to the show, this is sort of a radio show. Come to YouTube. We've taken our radio crew and brought them here to this platform. Thanks to William. We're crowdfunded, so we appreciate the super sticker. William, for a quick $10. Thank you. Big shout out, William.
Big shout out.
Yeah, and Jim as well.
Big shout out.
And you can also support us through Patreon and PayPal. But what I was going to say is that it is a delight to have you here, and we will try to cover the day's news, give you some analysis, also some of our features. Friday Fabulous Florida, bottom of this hour. I mentioned new viewers and listeners because yesterday I did morning television in Los Angeles, and I mentioned, that there might be, it might be great if some people subscribed and watched the show from there, and a couple did. And so, not knowing what this is, I just kind of wanted to orient them that we will get to the news of the day, provide some analysis, and also the people in the chat will kind of bring you up to speed on any running things that we do. Wes, thank you, is a regular. Thanks for the $5 super sticker.
Big shout out.
Shout out. As I say, I will get to the big life of Clarence Thomas. He is a baller, everybody. He is living large, man. I mean, I got to say, and thank you, Jan Carpenter. Big shout out for $10. I will say that I would love to be a pal of Clarence Thomas. I mean, you know, those people who going, hey, we're going to the Turks and Caicos. We got an extra seat on the private plane. Do you want to come? Those people? Yeah, I don't know any of them either. But Clarence knows lots of them. And as it turns out,
it doesn't appear that he ever says no. I mean, there's no gift that he won't take. You know, I don't care where you're going. I'm aboard the jet and we're headed there.
Well, he prefers
I prefer the Walmart parking lots.
He prefers the Walmart parking lots. But
yeah,
I mean, as long as
rolling mansion in his $300,000 rolling bus.
Send the town car to the Walmart parking lot.
I prefer the Walmart parking lots.
Take us to the private jet field where we will go. We'll get to Clarence Thomas, and we will get to Hunter Biden as well. I'm starting to feel like I'm the only American without a special prosecutor. You know what I mean? No special counsel has been assigned to my life yet. But this is just breaking in the last hour, been a special counsel assigned to the Hunter Biden case. You know, that plea deal fell through. And so Hunter is now the focus of a special counsel investigation. This is the same investigator from Delaware who was investigating, who's been involved in his case so far. So I'll a little more on that. I will say just one thing because I've mentioned it. Those who want to draw any kind of parallel between Hunter Biden and Trump or other corruption, I'll remind you, Hunter Biden wasn't president, isn't going to be president, never served in a White House, and also isn't in control of a party, which is what Donald Trump is in control of the Republican Party, and doesn't have a cult-like following, okay? So those are the differences between, right off the hop, Hunter Biden and Donald Trump. As I've told you before, and those of you who are not new to this show, you know this. If Hunter Biden did something that should be both investigated and prosecuted, then investigate him and prosecute him. And I'll go a step further. If his dad did something, Joe Biden, the president, something that should be investigated and prosecuted, then investigate and prosecute. This is, I have no party loyalties, and I don't think this corruption should be permitted. A lot of it is legal. You know, when you're trading on your name, the Trump family has traded on their name. The Biden family, in the form of Hunter, traded on his name clearly. The Clintons traded on their name. Chelsea Clinton got that big deal at the Today Show. She was making $600,000 a year. Why do you think she got that? Because she was such a great reporter? No, because she had access to the Clintons. So all I'm trying to say is it is the world of Washington and the world of media is replete, and the world of business, replete with examples of this kind of thing. I have no problem with the investigation or the prosecution. But to draw any kind of equivalence between what was Trump was doing and Hunter Biden, insane, absolute insanity. And I'll mention one last thing. Hunter didn't try to overturn a legitimate Democratic election to retain power. Okay, so there's that. Smash the like button if you want. I don't see why you wouldn't want to. It's such an easy thing to do. You smash that like button like a boss, and you
with your iron
feel
rod.
better about yourself and feel better about
powerful
everybody.
when you smash it too.
I
it's
do. I like anything that
life affirming. You know.
Yeah. All right, let's see what's going on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I know I just did a little riff on Hunter, and I'll get to SCOTUS. There's a big SCOTUS ruling. I'll get to that. And Clarence Thomas, as I said, I want to put it off to the side. We do have a Law and Disorder scheduled for this half hour, so I'll try to get to that. I want to right now turn the focus to Maui, the devastation there. A brutal, something of a post-mortem, even as they continue to fight things down there. There was a piece in the LA Times that was written so beautifully, speaking about the perfect storm of elements that had to come together for this to happen. I'm just going to read you a couple of I looked for it online and I couldn't find it. You know, the online world just is so carnivorous in the way it takes us in. So I'm just going to read it off the paper. But then we'll share with you a tape package about it from, I believe, ABC television. But drought, howling winds, plummeting humidity, tinder dry grass, a historic city of exposed wood structures in a thirsty rain shadow. To a Californian, many of the factors that appear to have coalesced into a catastrophic fire that killed at least 36 people on Hawaii's Maui Island are all too familiar. We'll update that death toll. As you know, it's all too grim and much bigger than 36 now. Much bigger number. Yet for a tropical region that traditionally sees only mild wildfire activity, the chance interaction of terrain, weather, building development, vegetation, and the growing force multiplier of climate change have seemingly rewritten natural history. Researchers note that although any one of these factors would typically lead to increased fire risk, all of them together created a tinderbox that was primed to explode. All they needed was a spark. The exact cause of ignition remains under investigation, but what is known is that roughly 80% of Hawaii is under abnormally dry conditions, with more than 14% in a moderate drought and nearly 3% a severe drought, according to recent data from the U.S. Drought Monitor. Those are some of the elements we've discussed on this show that led to this immense conflagration and this utter catastrophe. But I thought it was said so well in just those few paragraphs. And now Here's the piece from, I believe it's GMA, isn't it? Go ahead, Albert. Roll that, please.
Rebecca, good morning. Maui is home. I went to school, grade school in Lahaina, and I also spent a lot of time up country in Kula. That's where we are now. There was a totally separate fire up the mountain on the slope of Haleakala, raging at the same time. Friends and family telling me how it terrorized them as these insane winds blew across the mountain. When I came up, I found hundreds, maybe thousands of acres of burned land and forests, pockets and neighborhoods with homes totally decimated like this, and even some evacuees from the Lahaina fire.
The people of Maui starting to dig out. It's an unthinkable reality. And for Shalina Barrios, who with her husband and 2 small children literally ran for their lives from the Lahaina fire.
I think the thing that sticks out the most is probably when we were sitting on the rocks and we were just hoping for a shift in the wind or something to change. It was a lot. It was a lot. But, you know, everyone's safe.
She evacuated to the upcountry area of Kula, which simultaneously experienced a different fire, and the community here still on edge.
I'm here every day until they throw me out.
A tree fell over, hit the power lines, and that's what started the fire.
Russ, who lived in his home for 40 years, said he and neighbors fought all day to keep the fire from spreading.
We had a hard time holding it back, but we were winning the game. And then the water turned off. And then there wasn't anything we could do. Then the sparks were blowing up out of the gulch.
It's a community left to pick up the pieces, like Nancy Garnett.
This is just crazy, and I can't even. It's just too much. I've lost friends, and I've been here 48 years, and I've never seen anything like this in my entire life.
I look around at the hundreds, if not thousands of acres burned. It's a place where I attended high school, hiked through these hills. And while not everywhere, in places it's unrecognizable, scorched, smoking.
People bringing food for all of the emergency responders and the folks working on homes.
On Kulalani Street, where 6 homes burned to their foundations, I see this dad sifting through the rubble, looking for the wedding rings that he and his wife had in a jewelry box.
Any luck with the ring?
Yes.
You found it?
Both?
Oh, can we see?
Yay.
At least one. We're still looking for the other one.
It doesn't look like much right now,
Wow.
but it's here.
Wow.
You can even see the engraving, so it's not much, but it's something. So the small things, right?
We're good.
And I'm reminded of this community's resilience.
We look out for each other. I don't know these people, but they were angels yesterday. A big mahalo nui from the bottom of my heart and my family. Thank you so much.
So many people asking how they can help, how they can donate. We have a QR code on our screen. You can scan that with your phone and it'll take you to a list of charities that are approved. It's also on our website. The Maui United Way and Hawaii Strong, 2 foundations being mentioned here on island. And I just have to tell you, Rebecca, it's just so otherworldly to be here amidst a disaster of this scale. It's just insane. I think of all the people in that beautiful town. When my mom and I were on the phone first thinking of the town destroyed, we just cried. It felt like a piece of my childhood in ashes. And now as we think about all those people, it's beyond anything that my mind can wrap around.
Yeah, it's tough. Thank you, Albert, for that. It is chilling. I'm, truly heartbroken for those people. And there you see the devastation is complete. Look at that. I mean, that's just immense, the scale of destruction. We in California are all too familiar with it. As you know, I lost my house to fire. The entire neighborhood burned. And it is a desperate struggle to get out. And that was one of the problems in Paradise, California, right? People incinerated in their cars. Sorry to say it. But it is, again, a chilling thought. And evacuations in this case were chaotic. There was not an organized method of getting people out, as you're aware, Kim.
I have to tell you something about the death toll in Maui. It's up to 55 people now that have died. And the governor of Hawaii, his name is Josh Green, has said that number 55 only includes the number of people found outside of buildings because they haven't been able to go inside of buildings or through the ashes and rubble to find the remains of people. So, what we're looking at for 55 people dead, that to me is just a high, high number. But what we're going to see is even more. I was speaking earlier about this one report I heard from a woman who said, looked out my window and she was in Lahaina town. She said, I looked out my window and I saw the fire, the flames burning maybe a half mile away. And she said, I grabbed my husband and my animal, our pets, and we got into this, ran to the sea. But she said it took all of 3 minutes for the fire for her to look back and see her house engulfed in flames. 3 minutes.
Yeah, the fires, sadly, they devastate so quickly. I mean, the timeline is,
if it moved that
immensely
fast,
short. Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of people that didn't make it out. Can we talk about Kula for a moment, where the reporter, excellent reporting.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about Kula. This is, by the way, Kula in upcountry Maui is where Oprah Winfrey lives. And so she has come there to offer her support. She was at one of the shelters yesterday helping people. But we have a little bit more information now about what happened. So there was a fire, like a spot fire that broke out in Lahaina, and that was put out. It was relatively small. And at the same time, there was a larger fire burning in Kula on, again, upcountry Maui. So that brush fire in Lahaina was declared 100% contained just before 9 a.m. Crews then focused on a larger fire in the Kula area. They had hundreds of acres burning in Kula. They had evacuations. They had burned structures in Kula. So that's where their focus was. But 6 hours later, they had the flare up in Lahaina. So again, 6 hours, like 9 in the morning, it was declared 100% contained, right? But again, the hurricane force winds from Dora whipping up these flames again in Lahaina town. So 6 hours later, this flare up happened and nobody saw it coming, and it just took off like a rocket. So at least we have a little bit more information about what happened as far as the nature of the fire and what firefighters were doing at the time and why it maybe moved so quickly and where the majority of the focus was when flames broke out in Lahaina town.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Actually, I didn't know that timeline or the way it, and as you say, you can knock down a fire for a moment or for a time, for even hours, but with that kind of sustained wind that they were experiencing, it just wasn't possible for any sustained period of time.
Yeah.
They, as I was noting, the evacuation was chaotic. I mean, and that's one of the problems, As storm embers turned Lahaina into ash, some ran for their lives, plunging into the harbor of the West Maui town, which has centuries of history and was once the royal residence of the Hawaiian king. Others were trapped by an urban conflagration. Survivors described frantic efforts to escape death in a town that had been cut off from telecommunications and electricity. One witness recalled encountering a line of burned vehicles, some with charred corpses inside.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an absolute mirror of what happened in so many places in California. I mean, again, I mentioned Paradise because I think that is just the Paradise to me is the example of what happens when there is insufficient spacing, really,
right,
and insufficient planning for an evacuation that's as massive as getting everybody out of the town. And people get trapped in that evacuation process.
We saw in Santa Rosa when the entire neighborhood of Coffee Park burned that while the fire was fast moving and there were, people hurt and killed, the roads are different in Santa Rosa. There's more ways in and out. There's Highway 101. There's, while there was traffic, it was a different ball game. When you have somewhere like Paradise with, a 2-lane country road in and out, where you have something like Lahaina with a 2-lane road on the highway there, that's different. And there was so many people trying to get out that you saw the flames just overtake the row of cars.
All right. That's the latest from Hawaii.
Oh,
did we have a list? I thought I talked to you last night about a list.
And I'm putting my list together on a graphic, but I do have this website that I want to show you. It is being promoted by former President Barack Obama. It is especially they have a designation called Maui Strong. If you go to this website, if you've been wanting to contribute to the effort to help people in Maui, hawaiicommunityfoundation.org. There's a Maui Strong donate button there, and the money will go to the people that are suffering right now, and then finally the rebuilding efforts. So that is what's happening. But I will have a full list for you. And of course, I think a lot of news agencies right now are compiling these lists, so you find it other places too. But I'll have a big list and a graphic coming up of all the legitimate charities that you can contribute to, but this is one of the ones that looks good.
Julie says Larry Ellison owns Lanai just across from Maui. He should give, of course. Larry Ellison, one of the richest guys in the world. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. We had a wildfire at my house, like 100 yards away, says Dave. Cal Fire stayed here for 2 days watching for hotspots. Yeah, I mean, that's if they can, if they have the manpower, men and women who fight fires, to stay there. And one of the problems, my friends live in, and as we all have friends in all parts of California, and you'll hear, there was a fire and you can fill in the blank because we've had so many fires in so many different places, and the water was cut off. We had no way to fight the fire. And one friend of mine lives right next to a fire station, and she almost lost her house. The firefighters were at a different fire. Yeah. I mean, there's an irony to being at a fire station that is burning because the firefighters are in another place. So it's a lesson San Francisco learned in 1906, the lack of water, right? And it's why underneath the streets of San Francisco, at multiple intersections, you see the big round circle, because there's water tanks, cisterns underneath the streets. The firefighters have keys to them. We have fire boats as well. A couple fire boats placed outside Lahaina, it might have done the trick if they had the water, if they had the ability to fight this fire. I have to tell you, Mark, I was reading one story of survival and of helping people from a woman in a boat. There was 3 female boat captains, and they lost their bigger boat. They were in a dinghy, and they were trying to pull people from the water. And they were watching the boats in the harbor catch fire, in the small harbor. And so these boats were sinking, and I guess the oil from the boats were then a sheen on the water. She said, there we were in our dinghy trying to pull people from the waves, and the waves were on fire. The waves were on fire. Oh my God. What a hellish scene. My God.
And I was looking at a story earlier, someone saying this is like a nuclear bomb went off. That's what it looks like. So
absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. Well, we'll continue to watch it, and there it is, hawaiicommunityfoundation.org. We know that is a legit organization, and would appreciate whatever contributions we can make. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Albert, I don't know what to do. I know you can't speak because your microphone is dead, which is an outrage.
Albert has been silenced again.
Yes.
Wasn't he silenced once before?
I like to be the thing that silences Albert. I don't want technical things to silence Albert.
Wasn't there a big movement called Let Albert Speak?
Oh, yeah. Kim is absolutely right. When we were on radio, there was a problem because if the producer spoke on the air, Albert is our producer for those who are new, they would have to pay the producer as on-air talent, and that would be more money, and that would, et cetera. So they said, under no circumstances can the producer speak. And I said, well, this is ridiculous. Albert's a part of the show. I need him to be able to speak. And they said, well, we're going to have these meetings. We're going to, believe me, we're going to advocate to get him to speak, and other producers too.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
So there was a movement, Let Albert Speak, and people actually sent in photos of themselves with,
Let Albert speak.
Yeah, with like signs that said, Let Albert speak. And finally, John Daly, I think, was helpful and instrumental in making it happen as well. Albert got a chance to get back onto the mic at KGO, as did Daly and other producers. But now, you're right, Kim. This reminds me of those. He literally cannot speak because of a technical problem. So we have worked out this very low-tech way that Albert can indicate affirmative, and that is with the ding. So if it's a yes, there it is. That's him with a yes. Okay. So I wanted to ask you, Albert, should I try to do a turbo Law and Disorder? I mean, I feel like it's full of stuff. I've got Clarence Thomas. I've got the federal judge with in the election conspiracy case against Trump with a major ruling. I've got the SCOTUS decision on the opioid settlement. I mean, let me just get to those quickly, can't I? Yeah, okay. All right. So we'll do some Law and Disorder. I want to get you at least a bit on all of those things, just a little sampler. We can talk more about it with Michael Shure and Jim Avila, who do political analysis for the week. They'll do it at the beginning of the second hour. Still to come in the second hour as well, Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster, with everything to watch this weekend, new movies, streaming, television, series, whatever. Smash the like button like a boss.
With your iron rod.
We'll try to cover the world for you. Let's now turn our attention to the world of legal decisions and craziness. This is Law and Disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Well, corrupt Clarence Thomas has never met a vacation he doesn't want to take. Yeah.
I prefer the Walmart parking lots.
He might prefer the Walmart parking lots, but man, for a guy who likes the Walmart parking lots, he takes a lot of cruises and private flights and yacht weeks, and he goes to expensive sporting events, expensive when you
VIP tickets. Yeah, hey.
Yeah, VIP when you sit down close. At least 38 destination vacations, and this is the Pro Publica other shoe that's dropped. You know, they had the original report. This latest is on Clarence Thomas's rich pals and how they have feted him. They have entertained Clarence Thomas in every way. Of course, what's odd is he just didn't really take any of those big banging vacations before he became a Supreme Court justice. It's just weird.
I prefer the Walmart parking lots.
I think he kind of never preferred the Walmart parking lots is what I would guess. But it's just funny how all of these super wealthy people have entertained Clarence Thomas. These are all revelations that rich benefactors, many donors to conservative causes. We mentioned Harlan Crow, who is his super big buddy, the real estate magnate, how he has taken care of Clarence Thomas. In fact, as you'll recall, he has not only luxury holidays and various vacations that he's bestowed upon Clarence Thomas, but Crow picked up Clarence Thomas's mother's real estate, right? Got the house, remodeled it for her. It's great. She's living there rent-free. And paid for the schools of Clarence Thomas's grandnephew. Also, Sam Alito and Paul Singer, who's another billionaire, seem to have a relationship. So it seems that the SCOTUS justices are, well, they're very tight with big money and big business. And as you know, a lot of big business does have business before the court. We told you about the healthcare involved billionaire, meaning he has a healthcare business, and how he had business involving healthcare in front of the Supreme Court. So it does seem to happen, coincidentally. Clarence Thomas did not comment on the new report about his 38 vacations at the gift of businessmen, including Wayne Huizenga. He used to own the Miami Dolphins. And David Sokol and Paul Novelli. These trips included luxury golf resort visits and expensive college football tickets. Suckle told Pro Publica, he's one of the billionaires, that he and Thomas, quote, have never once discussed any pending court matter. Our conversations have always revolved around helping young people. As to the use of private aviation, I believe that given security concerns, all of the Supreme Court justices should either fly privately or on governmental aircraft, he says. ProPublica is being attacked on social media. Another smear job, people are saying, who are conservatives. Meanwhile, ProPublica described how at a luxury lodge in Wyoming, Thomas and his wife, the far-right activist Ginny Thomas. Where's my Ginny Thomas drop?
I would like to thank a great woman named Ginny Thomas.
Yeah, that's it. They fished, rafted on the Snake River, and sat by a campfire overlooking the Teton Range alongside other couples.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure it was great.
It was great. I loved it.
Thomas's love of luxury travel has been described elsewhere. The New York Times recently reported how Anthony Welters, a healthcare magnate, this is the one I was talking about, financed Thomas's purchase of a luxury motorhome, that RV we spoke of earlier in the week. In its new report, ProPublica also reviewed records showing how the Horatio Alger Association, to which Thomas belongs, has a link raising money by offering donors seats at an event at the Supreme Court. And it goes on. It's clear. I think it's very clear that Clarence Thomas is surrounded by a lot of billionaire benefactors who are showering him with gifts, with vacations, and with other benefits of being around billionaires. It's hard to imagine that that's just coincidence.
I have a question. Something I was thinking about last night as I was reading about all of his luxury trips and VIP tickets and the things that have happened and the rolling around in the mansion bus. I always thought being a Supreme Court justice was a really big job. Like, this is something that takes up your whole life. Like you're appointed for life, but it consumes it's your passion. It's your every waking moment, right? He's got a lot of extra time on his hands to take all these vacations. I'm just thinking, maybe I thought it was a big job. Maybe it's a cush job. Maybe like you work for a few months and the rest of it, you're traveling and having the time of your life.
I think it's a very difficult job if it's done well. There are a lot of cases that there isn't any clear judgment that can be made on a bunch of cases that face the court. There was actually a really good op-ed, I want to say it might have run last Sunday, it was from a former clerk at the Supreme Court, and it was about the fact that some of these cases are so difficult that you really need the words, "I don't know," to enter into your thinking. This clerk, had written decisions for justices at the Supreme Court level. I mean, helped to write them, okay? And said that he'd put them aside and go home, think about them, and then actually come to a different conclusion and rewrite the decision the other way. So that's how close some of these calls can be. So I think it's a hard job done well. To be fair, they do get vacation time. I mean, the court's not in session, So, but
I guess they get a lot of vacation time. Yeah. I guess. I'm just saying. He's going an awful lot of the 38 vacations. Plus he is the working house bus. Plus the VIP tickets. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, he is.
I come from regular stuff.
He is working a lot of vacation time in between decisions. The thing that's easy for Clarence Thomas is he's already made the decisions, right? He's not going to recuse himself from anything with his wife. Those messages, he's pretty much a rubber stamp on all that extreme right-wing stuff that comes out of the court. So if you look at it that way, then you don't really have to think much. You know what I mean? So
that's why it's a cush job, because when you say if it's done right, and that, you're writing different decisions and your different opinions and you don't know, it means that you have to spend days, weeks, months thinking about different arguments, thinking about law and the application of it.
Yeah, reflecting on that, the testimony and arguments,
It occupies your thoughts and everything you do, right? And you're thinking all the time. I don't think that Mr. Thomas is thinking all the time. I think he, like you said, he knows how he's gonna vote. He, just
he's thinking, but it's not about.
He's not he's thinking about the next VIP ticket. Who's gonna give me the stuff next?
You've got it.
Yeah.
The federal judge overseeing the election conspiracy case against Donald Trump agreed with the defense on a looser version of a protective order for evidence in the case, but the defense, I'll remind you, is defense of Donald Trump. But she largely sided with the prosecution on what sensitive material should be protected, as she vowed to keep politics out of her rulings. U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkin in Washington just today repeatedly said that Trump was subject to the court's rules as a defendant before trial, even though he is also running for president in the same time period. And she warned that she would not let political considerations affect her rulings. Your client's defense is supposed to happen in this courtroom, not on the internet, the judge said. But she rejected prosecutors' broader protective order proposal that sought to prevent the public airing of all evidence they hand over to Trump's defense. So that's kind of a big ruling, mixed ruling. She seemed poised to impose a more limited protective order that would bar the public release only of materials deemed, quote, sensitive, like grand jury materials. And quickly, SCOTUS has said no to the opioid settlement. The Supreme Court put OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma's bankruptcy settlement on hold Thursday in an order siding with the Biden administration's request to re-examine provisions shielding the Sackler family from liability, right? They made a deal that said, hey, we'll pay the $6 billion. Now we're essentially indemnified from any other legal action. The single-page order does not contain a breakdown of the 9 justices' votes. It directs the parties to present their arguments before the high court in December. So it's a stay for the moment, all right? And Brett Favre has not gotten out of trouble. The Mississippi Supreme Court will not dismiss former NFL quarterback Brett Favre from the welfare scheme civil lawsuit that's underway. A 3-justice panel issued an order denying Favre's appeal. Again, they're trying to recoup millions of dollars that was part of a statewide welfare fraud scheme, and Brett Favre has been named in that scheme. More than $77 million was improperly used from the welfare program meant for the neediest families in Mississippi.
What?
Yeah, got spent on expensive cars, private schools, pet project of celebrities, and the politically connected.
I can't imagine more of a slime ball thing to do, to steal money from the poorest of the poor. Really?
Yeah.
And you're loaded, right?
And ex-Raiders receiver Henry Ruggs III gets 3 to 10 years in prison. He's the guy who was driving his car 156 miles an hour in Las Vegas. He had 0.16 on the blood alcohol level when he crashed his Corvette into another car, killed a woman and her dog on November 2nd in 2021. And that former Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver will go to prison. 3 to 10 years. He pleaded guilty to a felony count of DUI resulting in death and misdemeanor manslaughter in that crash. Tina Tintor, 23, was killed. 156-mile-an-hour ride in his Corvette crashed into her Toyota RAV4. So sad. He's going to prison. That's Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Buddy, we're moving. We're moving at a good clip. Glad to have everybody here. Smash the like button like a boss.
With your iron rod.
Give us a thumbs up. It's free. Why not? Welcome into our show, the former producer of this show. Now he's moved on to the outside. But you know what? Just like Al Pacino in The Godfather, I said, I tried to get away, but they keep pulling me back. John Daly has his own show now with Kim. It's called The After Party Live. How about it for John Daly?
Hi.
Yeah, pulling me back. That sounds like radio in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. You won't get pulled back in.
Usually radio is holding you back. In this case, it's pulling you back. But I'm delighted that you're happy. How's the new show going?
I think it's good. You know, it's a lot of work, as you know. YouTube is a monster.
Fabulous producer, John Daly.
Yeah.
We have a new overlord, the algorithm.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's really a long process.
Yeah.
So
torture.
How long do you think before you give it up?
Fabulous producer, John Daly. Well, if she puts as much effort into prepping today's show as she did today, I don't know.
Well, she is really
in all fairness, she's doing
spread
everything.
thin. Yeah. We on Friday like to showcase the state that serves up the weird, the sad, the bizarre, the crazy, the dangerous. We do it in a segment we call Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
A major discovery. 70 pounds of cocaine found by a mayor. Yeah. It's
major announcement.
It's a Florida mayor. Quite the unexpected catch on a recent fishing trip. Tampa Mayor Jane Castor helped reel in 70 pounds of cocaine while fishing last month in the Florida Keys. I mean, that's a pretty big
That's real.
haul. There it is. The drugs had an estimated street value of $1.1 million, according to the cops. She apparently discovered all of this just really quite by accident. 25 bricks, each stamped with a purple butterfly.
Oh, so it's magical. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, I guess. She was mahi-mahi fishing off the Florida Keys when she caught the cocaine. She spotted the packages, and Mayor Jane Castor is never off duty, they said.
That's not fake. That's real.
Yeah.
Well, if she partakes, she will be on duty all 24/7.
Yeah. She helped make the bust. She's no stranger to law enforcement.
I got a press conference to get to.
The former police officer served as Tampa's first female chief of police before becoming mayor, so she knows a little something about busting cocaine rings.
So she has
and
keys to
discovering
the evidence
cocaine.
locker.
Oh, yeah. More suspected cocaine has since been found in the waters off the Florida Keys. Lobster hunters found a brick that was turned over to the U.S. Border Patrol just over this past weekend. So there is a lot of cocaine floating around down there.
I think it's the sharks. Do you think it's the sharks?
Yeah, well, that's the movie. Cocaine Sharks. Yeah, exactly. A Florida man is accused of attacking nurse, stripping, and flooding the emergency room. Wow, that's a...
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Attacking the nurse, stripping, and flooding the emergency room. That is the big trifecta. Southwest Florida is where this all went down. This guy flooded a hospital's emergency room after attacking a nurse and stripping off his clothes. The 53-year-old became agitated while in a waiting room at the North Collier Hospital in Naples, Florida. You know where that is, John.
Exactly, right down the road.
There's a Publix down the road. There's a Whole Foods across the street. He barged into the emergency room, pushed a patient, then pushed a nurse in the head. After the hospital staff got him into a room in an effort to keep him from disturbing other patients, he took off his clothes.
Of course.
He pulled a high-pressure water pipe from the wall.
What?
And the hospital's emergency room flooded, causing tens of thousands of dollars in damage. Chaos ensued. Responding deputies subdued the man using a taser after he threatened them. He was then taken into custody.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Maybe he was doing pull-ups. Once he took his clothes off, maybe he was showing off for the nurses, doing some pull-ups on the water pipe.
Wow, he doesn't look happy in that mugshot photo. And they would have taken him to the hospital, but he'd flooded it. So there was really not a chance for that.
There's never been anything like this.
Do you think he had like a bucket list of crimes? He's like, how many can I tick off my list? I've got 10 minutes.
He really did run the table. You got to give the guy credit for that. That's
I think the nurses were like, could you not bring this guy back? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not looking forward to the return visit. A Florida man is arrested after registering his Porsche 930 Turbo stolen from the museum.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
It's valued at $250,000, and he was arrested on fraud charges. He registered a 1977 Porsche 911 Turbo that was stolen from the Sarasota Classic Car Museum. The man used the VIN number from another vintage 911 out of a California salvage yard to register the car. Police responded to this Sarasota Classic Car Museum after the burglary alarm was tripped during an early morning trip of that alarm on, I guess it was earlier this summer. The officers were unable to make contact with the museum employee at the time, initially determined that the building was secure. But it wasn't, as officers would return later that morning to find pry marks on one of the doorways.
Uh-oh.
And an open section of fencing. Inside the museum, 7 vehicles have been moved out of the way so this Porsche could get out, and it was missing. The robbery suspect, who police say is currently unknown, was able to fill the car with fuel found on site and use the keys stored inside the driver's footwell to simply drive this collectible car out of the collection.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
Yeah. The museum values the car in the neighborhood of $250,000.
Really? That car?
Yeah. It's a classic, Kim. It's in the 70s. I'll tell you, I think it's a turbo, 3.3 liter turbo, and they're in the performance icons of the 930 family. That's what I'm reading here. Anyway, they were able to ultimately get this guy, Daniel Boyce, 36 years old. Isn't that right, Albert? They got him. The long arm of the law.
The mistake is he should have stolen it from Jay Leno, because if he stolen it from Jay Leno's warehouse, he wouldn't have noticed.
Exactly. It would have taken Jay months, maybe even years to notice.
To figure it out, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a complicated scheme, but he did steal this Porsche. And
would you call it a caper?
I call it a heist, is what I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meantime, on the other end of Florida, a Florida man who raised thousands.
Wait,
can
we go back for just a moment, because I have a picture. This guy, the Porsche guy, crazy eye. You know those mug booking shots where they actually look like you would not want to have anything to do with them. Yeah, check out his eyeballs.
Oh, you're right. Kim is right.
Whoa.
He doesn't look like a Porsche driver particularly. You know what I mean?
Like
he doesn't.
Spaceship driver.
Yeah, he looks right.
He looks like he's ready to go to the next level.
He looks like a cultist. That's exactly right.
He's ready to levitate.
Yeah.
Anyway, just want to make sure we saw that. Carry on.
I'm glad that was worth doubling back for. Thank you. That was actually very good.
Usually when she derails the show, it might not be worth it. But in this case,
it's true.
It's worth
she
it.
Has been known to derail for no reason, but in this case, well worth it.
Good job, Kim.
Yeah.
You guys are really rude today.
Florida researchers, please, if you could.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah, sorry about that, Kim. John just doesn't know his place. It's Florida researchers find a whole 5-foot alligator.
What?
Inside a massive Burmese python.
Oh,
that's right.
God.
Pythons in Florida, I'll remind you, are a problem. They are an invasive species, and they have completely taken over the Everglades to the point that there's hardly any prey left for them. They're fast, and they're effective predators that have nothing hurting them out there. Because they're not natural to the area, they are wildly invasive. They can outcompete any creature in the ecosystem, and they damage the ecosystem, right? They can be well over 20 feet long. They utilize massive size to constrict and eat their prey whole, and alligators are among their prey. They can weigh over 1,000 pounds, measure up to 12 feet in length. And indeed, when they got this 18-foot python, the snake had this large bulge in its belly. Researchers cut it open, found a 5-foot-long alligator inside the snake.
So I guess you could call that snack size.
Yeah, it is weird to think of it, but indeed, it's kibble size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kind you get on Halloween.
A Florida man who raised thousands of dollars after his husband was brutally murdered is now being considered what? If you guess suspect in the murder, yes, you can give yourself points.
Bingo.
Earlier this year, the Marion County Sheriff's Office was called to conduct a well-being check on 59-year-old Timothy Smith. He failed to show up to work. Deputies walked into Smith's Citrus Park home, and he was found dead. Authorities said it appeared he suffered a violent heart attack before his death. After months of investigating, they had no arrest made. But this week, they announced a new development in the case. Smith's husband, Herbert Swilley, who raised thousands of dollars after Smith was killed, is now considered a suspect in the murder. They enhanced the reward to $14,500 for information about Smith's murder.
I thought you were going to say with some bricks of cocaine.
Oh, well, there is always that in the oven. They could enhance it more.
Deal for you?
Yeah. They also revealed that Swilley's daughter, Jordan Swilley, is considered to be a person of interest.
Oh.
Oh, my God.
No.
Everybody in the family's involved in this.
Can you imagine having that job doing welfare checks in Florida?
Oh, yeah,
That's
that
a
would be
full-time job.
You'd have a special detail for that, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, he's pleading that, he had nothing to do with it and all the rest. He's posting on Facebook, but
It's always the husband. It's always the husband.
It does seem like it's always the spouse, husband
He's like,
or
I have
wife.
an alibi. I was busy doing drugs. I was in the Taco Bell drive-thru. It's on tape.
A Florida man unhappy over traffic stop flips off deputies out of his car window.
Always a smart move.
Yeah, you want to express yourself.
Yeah. Start right at the beginning. Get it going.
Yeah, establish that relationship early. You guys can't push me around. He was apparently unhappy about being pulled over while riding on one of the rims of his car. And then he's arrested after flipping off deputies. Yeah, you can see him there. We have the video posted.
Speaking of drugs.
Yeah. He does look as though he's not clear-headed, I'll say that.
Disheveled a bit.
Yeah,
dirty,
I don't think
maybe.
that shirt's been laundered.
We're blurring. Can you see
Ever.
the when he's holding his hands up like that? We're blurring it. I get which because it's from television. I guess they blur that FU sign, but that's what he's doing with flipping them off.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, it's a.
It wasn't like namaste.
No, it was. It's a wild idea. I'll give you credit.
Wild idea, but it just might work.
You got to have cojones to pull that number. I mean, I will say that. And finally, I have two more stories quickly. One involves Epcot. Florida is the home of Epcot Center.
Right.
And in Epcot, which is one of the happiest, either the happiest place on earth or one of the happiest places on earth, a man was arrested after he was accused, still trying to figure it out, snatching a man's car keys from an unattended stroller at Epcot, then breaking into his car in the theme park parking lot. Wow. Well, it's a wild idea.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just
there
might
are a
work.
lot of wild ideas out of Florida.
Well, remember, there are a
Ahmed
lot of
Snina.
bars there at Epcot. You have that whole, what do they call it? The world of getting wasted?
You think that
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
I didn't think of that, to be honest. Ahmed, it gives you courage. You get the, what is that, six-pack courage kind of thing.
Liquid courage. Yeah.
Liquid courage, that's the word I
It's
want.
really surprising because Disney is supposed to have, a police force, security that's, unparalleled. And strollers at Disneyland are supposed to be, this is a safe place where you can leave your stroller with your stuff in it.
Sure.
Maybe you're not going to leave your wallet full of cash, but you should be able to park your stroller somewhere and walk around the park with your family.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Demoralizing that someone would do that.
Yes,
well,
it is.
You are still in Florida.
I mean, it's
What can you tell us about the scene?
Nothing safe at the Epcot Center, Larry. It looks like it. Ahmed Snina, 24. charged with grand theft of a motor vehicle with a mask, which is a second-degree felony, according to...
if you have the mask?
Apparently. Maybe the mask is an enhancement or something.
You have to be fashionable. Come on.
They think that it wasn't an isolated incident. They think that he does this.
Oh, shocker.
They feel that this could be tied to other thefts at Disney's Animal Kingdom and Epcot. That's according to the arrest record. He took various items from the stroller to include keys to a gray Kia Sportage. And you could see him on surveillance video walking through the Epcot Center parking lot looking for the Kia. Wow. It's kind of a low-tech move, but yeah, exactly.
He better watch out when Mickey finds out what he's doing.
Troopers arrest a man in Jefferson County for carting 250 pounds of marijuana, everybody. Wow. You got to go big or go home. The Florida Highway Patrol arresting
Where are my weed
a guy
smokers
this week.
at?
Yeah, 250 pounds of marijuana. It was a routine traffic stop. Not an itty bit. The troopers stopped Kelvin Masonette, 33. The troopers suspected Masonette's front window tint was darker than the legal limit. Man, they really they bust you for some stuff there.
Not here.
While talking to the driver, exactly, they would just wave you through. While talking to the driver, he began to pour sweat from his forehead, apparently. So he's talking to the cop, and he's realizing, air conditioning is on. This is according to the report. Yet this guy is sweating like a guy having a stroke. And he then noticed the cargo area of this Chevrolet Suburban, and he saw that it was full and covered with a large blanket. The trooper's dog then sniffed the outside of the vehicle and alerted the trooper to illicit drugs. While he was being detained, the report notes that Masonette made statements to the trooper on the scene.
What he's got going here is a situation.
Yeah, mentioned the marijuana in describing the scene.
What can you tell us about the scene?
I can tell you there's marijuana in there,
He's
Larry.
like, come on, dog. Not cool. Not cool, dude.
His legs became weak. Mr. Masonette's legs became weak enough that he fell to the ground. And it sounds like pretty much the whole plan was collapsing. He's sweating like crazy. His legs got weak. And before he knew it, it was all over. And he was under arrest. So, yeah. It's hard to imagine choosing from this group a favorite. They are all very strong. There are gators involved. There's drugs involved.
Yeah.
I'll just remind you, here is the list of stories you just heard. The Tampa mayor finding 70 pounds of cocaine while on a fishing trip in the Keys. The Florida man accused of attacking the nurse, stripping, flooding the emergency room. The Florida man arrested after registering his Porsche stolen from a museum. A Florida researcher finding a 5-foot alligator completely whole inside a massive Burmese python. A Florida man who raised thousands after his husband's murder is now the suspect in that murder. The Florida man, unhappy over the traffic stop, flips off deputies. The Florida man stealing keys from the stroller at Epcot Center is nothing sacred, and then taking the vehicle. And finally, the troopers arresting the man in Jefferson County for carting 250 pounds of marijuana. We don't want to pick a favorite. The bylaws of this show require that we pick a favorite, and so we do. I start with you, John Daly.
This is a tough week. Good job, Albert. I could go either way, but I'm going to go with the hospital stripper marathon.
Hospital stripper marathon.
It had a
Very
little bit of
strong
everything.
choice. Yes, it did. Yeah, you're right. Albert, will you indicate, maybe you have already in the private chat, and there is a poll up in YouTube. You can vote in YouTube right now for your favorite. You should also vote in the chat, and you should vote even if you're listening in delay. Please vote. We do look at the comments. We do tally them. The tribal elders have asked that we keep track of this stuff, so we do diligently. Love the naked ER man, says Delette. Yeah. Albert, could you indicate in the private chat, since you can't actually speak, can you indicate what your favorite would be? While you do that, I'll ask you,
It's like a dream come true for you.
Yeah,
Albert
more
can't
time. More time for me to talk. Well,
Kim, how are you?
Kim, what about you? What's your favorite?
I have to go the alligator and the python. Only in Florida. Gotta have it.
Yeah, I think it is very Florida. That's true. Albert also picks python with the whole alligator inside.
Bite-sized alligator.
I have to say, for the pure lawlessness and mayhem, and no one was hurt. Like, no one was, I mean, there were people pushed and stuff, and I don't mean to minimize it, but no one was killed or shot or any of that stuff. I like the Florida guy stripping and flooding the emergency room. Yeah, I do. I just think that has the, but this is a real hard one.
It's not often that we agree.
Yeah.
It's an auspicious occasion.
Online, if you voted, the favorite Florida story, man strips, floods, and attacks, is in a tie with 5-foot gator. They both come in at 40%. The Porsche heist Epcot car theft, 13%. And the mayor discovering the cocaine, 5%.
Does this mean we have a runoff?
Sadly, no time for a runoff. Okay. But maybe they'll all compete in some other way as they reconstitute themselves in a different story next week.
Right, exactly.
Albert, thank you. Very well done. I thought that was quite the, it was just quite the list.
Albert,
and John, we'll see you at 1 o'clock with the...
1:05. Let's be real.
Yeah, 1:05 with the after party live. John Daly, everybody. Yeah. Bye, John.
Bye.
That's Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
Albert, I am faced with another decision. I have two distinguished journalists and political analysts standing by. I also have a distinguished journalist standing by in the studio right now, and that's Kim. And she has a newscast that she's labored to put together.
Kim, how are you?
So what I'm going to do is, if it's okay with you, I'm going to ask that we do that newscast after we check in with Avila and Shure.
I like it.
And then we'll have a supersized newscast that will cover everything from, the Hunter Biden special counsel to the Hawaii latest, etc. Is that good with you, Albert? Ding, if that's good. Okay, very good. Smash the like button if you would. Yeah,
with your iron rod.
We have Shure and Avila waiting. They'll be up next. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On Fridays, we are graced with these two gentlemen, really overqualified to be here. I'm grateful that they do both show up every week. This guy is a Peabody Award winner, and he's won that Murrow Award, all that journalism stuff, Emmy Awards, etc. Former senior correspondent at ABC. He was camped outside the White House. He was the White House correspondent for a long time. He knows the ins and outs, Kim.
Yeah,
He's Jim Avila, everybody.
That's right.
Good morning. I actually had a seat inside the White House. I did not have to camp outside.
Well, I think sometimes you camp out, don't you, on the waiting for your wait a minute.
He has a cushy chair in the White House press office, please.
We have a nice chair on the inside, and we also have a booth in the inside, and we also have a little tent on the outside.
Do you know who I am?
Jim, is it not true that when you're waiting for them to come to you for that live thing where you're going, that's right, David, President Obama today, whatever, you need to camp out on the White House lawn. Is that not the case, sir?
I stand in front of a camera out inside of the front.
All right, thank you very much.
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do
at no point brought my camping gear.
All right, yeah. This guy, I just saw a great piece. In fact, I was going to run it, but we don't have time. Michael Shure did a great piece with Trump supporters at one of these Trump rallies, I guess, and it's brilliant. He did it for TYT. And Michael, I'm so sorry I don't have time to run it, but I will maybe even link to it, or I'll run it early next week, because you brought them on and you do these conversations with Trump supporters, and you see the cultish nature of at least the ones that were at that rally. You talked to a lot of people, and they became sort of tripped up by a lot of your questions. They couldn't really understand why they supported Trump when you because it was brilliant. Love your stuff. He's reported from all over the world, and he goes to these Trump rallies and all the rest. How about it from Michael Shure? You can find him on TYT.
Just point out that every time, whether for 1 month periods or 2 weeks or 1 day that I have covered the White House, all the networks that I've worked at did not have a chair at the White House, and we only reported from outside. We'd stand the way back on the inside, but we never had the coveted chair or I never had the coveted hard pass, which is the currency of the White House. Which Jim has, he's
he looks all smug. Look at him. Yeah, that's right.
He's the real thing, Avila. I mean, there's it was not he
when
wasn't
you put
running
on a Montreal Canadiens hat. You're already smug. So
it has to do with the outlet, not the person. I worked for ABC. They have a front row seat. That's whoever.
Yeah. No, that's very nice. False modesty. Well done.
Yeah.
But
of course, you have to work real hard to get to work for ABC.
Thank you very much.
Or at least you used to.
That's
right. To have to work.
Now, how did you get to it?
Come on.
Practice.
The back and forth. Yeah, they just they hired Avila because he was sexy. Let's get to I suppose the. This is a lot that happened this week, and I do want to get to as much as we can. Yeah, I was going to say, this Hunter Biden plea deal collapsed, and now a special counsel has been named in this Hunter Biden case. And it's the same counsel, isn't it, guys, that handled the case to this point for the government. Can you speak about this, Jim?
It was somebody.
Mike.
Go ahead,
sorry,
Michael. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I was pointing out there was somebody that was appointed by Trump and retained by Biden. Because they were in midstream in that investigation. Similarly, Merrick Garland wanted to stay on the same boat that he'd been on throughout. But Jim can take over from here. I just was saying that David Weiss, that's who he is.
Yeah, and I don't think that it changes much. I think it was a perception deal that Merrick Garland, who was very, very, very careful, decided that because of the political blowback from Republicans, even though, as Michael points out, this was a Trump appointee, there was an IRS agent who admitted in front of Congress at his hearing that 90% of his suggestions were turned down by prosecutors. But he claimed that Weiss was not able to proceed as he wished, and that was being held up by the Justice Department downtown. So what Garland has done is remove that complaint by appointing this person to the special counsel now, upgraded his title. The special counsel does not have to have all of his decisions reviewed by the attorney general. Although, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, when we had the special counsel, when we had the special counsel in the Trump case, Bill Barr did, in fact, have to approve any charges or anything like that. I still think the U.S. Attorney General has to approve the charges. So I'm not even sure that it has that much of an effect. It's mostly a perception issue as I see it, being able to say we're doing everything we can.
There is a difference between a special counsel and an independent counsel. And I think that that is where the relationship that they have and what is required of a special counsel to the attorney general is different than an independent counsel. And so and Barr and Mueller had known each other for a very long time. So it wasn't as if there was this kind of unfamiliarity that may exist between Garland and Weiss. I don't know. But so I don't know what the legal holdup for Weiss will be with Garland and what Garland surrenders by giving this to Weiss, other than the fact that Weiss now can kind of go ahead with his investigation. But I do believe he has to check in with the attorney general.
And it appears that he can charge now, at least this was the big complaint, he can charge now anywhere. Like he can take a DC case if there's a DC problem and charge it because he's the special counsel now and not restricted to Delaware. Although he said in letters to the Congress that he wasn't restricted in that way. So it seems to me like it's rhetoric and not much. in reality.
I'll just say as an aside, I'm not a fan of Merrick Garland. I think he's slow walked this, and we've gone around last week about this. So I know I may be the lonely voice on this, but I'm astounded at how Garland bends over backwards to avoid political blowback. But to be perfectly honest, it might be the smart thing to do. I'm not sure. I mean, clearly there's a political aspect to a lot of the decision making that goes into when you charge, how you charge. So maybe this is the right thing to do. I wanted to mention to you, in the Trump case, it just happened today, the judge in the Trump case kind of giving a little bit of ground to Trump, it seemed, in terms of that protective order, but not all the ground to Trump. I wonder if you could speak to that. That's in the J6 case. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, basically, you pretty much said it. Trump is now allowed to speak about some of the case, some of the evidence against him in public. However, he's on a tight leash with that. The prosecution, because of threats that Trump made publicly on Truth Social and places like that, wanted to restrict entirely the former president's ability to talk about the case. The judge saying that that Trump is allowed to do that with restrictions, with certain pieces of evidence, that he's allowed to talk about a bit the case against him. But his defense team was admonished. Though it was, I would say, a ruling for the defense. His defense team was admonished to keep their client in line, and no lawyer has ever been able to do that with Trump. So it's almost setting it up to fail.
She didn't. She said very clearly, though, to his lawyers that, yes, he has First Amendment protection, but the First Amendment protection does not extend to threatening witnesses, threatening the prosecutors, or revealing certain evidence that is sensitive. So, he continues to have restrictions. Was it as strong as I would have liked? I mean, heck, I'd like to see him in jail for that threat on the internet to if you go after me, I go after you. I mean, if I'm a witness in that case, would I consider that a threat? Yeah, I consider that a threat, and I don't know why she didn't come down harder on that. But judges do that. That's what they do. They take the middle road if they can. If there's any room to give it to Trump, they're going to give him a little room. Until they can't anymore.
And going back to something Jim mentioned earlier, Mark, is perception, right? I mean, you saw two sides of perception in action today to a degree. You saw this judge in the Trump case lean toward the defense and lean toward parity in that way, and then going on the other, or impartiality, going to the other side. You saw Merrick Garland say, okay, we'll investigate the son of my boss with a special counsel, who, by the way, I can fire, right? I mean, the attorney general, regardless of what the rules are, and I'm not certain that I'm right at all about the independent counsel versus special counsel. It may just be the names of and titles, but he does maintain the ability to fire that person if something goes awry. So, but you saw two different parts of perception in play today, and that that's what we get in a year and change ahead of a presidential election.
Yeah, it's interesting, really trying to split the baby a little bit. I want to go back because I've got a super chat about Hunter Biden again. Sweet Dragon says, isn't the whole thing with the special counsel a way to lay the Hunter Biden nonsense to rest? Is that, speak to that if you would, please, Jim.
Well, I don't think anything is going to lay it to rest. I mean, the Republicans have been embarrassed time after time in their hearings. They called Hunter Biden's business associate, who said on the record that Joe Biden had nothing to do with the business. But that didn't stop them from, I still see Fox News going crazy about Hunter Biden every day. So is it going to make a change? No. But it does give Democrats more ammunition to fight back and to say, wait a minute, you've had a special counsel, you've had these hearings, you still haven't come up with a connection between Joe Biden and Hunter Biden as far as business and practices illegally are concerned. Now, look, I'm the first person to say that Hunter Biden should be punished for anything he does, and that he is sleazy and he has traded on his father's name. We've heard him do that. What there's no evidence of is that he wasn't lying about those things, is that Joe Biden never actually got involved in his business. That, and then, and I'm not a fan of whataboutism because it's usually used against the Democrats, but how you can say this over and over and not mention Jared Kushner and his millions of dollars that he got from the Saudi Arabians when he was in charge of the Saudi Arabian, of being in connection with Saudi Arabia for this country. It makes no sense.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I made
the
point at the beginning.
Deal. Yeah, there's no question. And to add to that, what the dragon was asking in terms of whether or not this lays it to rest, it's not without risk, right, for the Democrats and for the Attorney General. Is there something that Weiss is going to uncover in this time? Is there evidence that wasn't given yet that could change perception there? So it's not without risk, but it does definitely arm Democrats with the ability to say, see, we opened up all of our books and we let you do all you could with Hunter Biden. And trading on the name, come on, John F. Kennedy Jr. didn't trade on his name, and Chelsea Clinton and Jenna Bush and all these people. And you can't help it. It's implicit when your last name is Biden that you are going to have doors open to you because your last name is Biden. Again, I don't know. The guy had a drug problem. He had a lot of tragedy in his life. And was he, did he make mistakes? Of course, he made enormous mistakes in his life, and he's an adult and he has to own up to them. And I think he had. And that plea deal, I thought, was the kind of plea deal that no ordinary American would have gotten in the first place. It was punishment to me in the way I look at it. And I'm not just forgiving of it. I just think that most Americans wouldn't have to even face what Hunter Biden would have to because of
a civil case.
Yeah, and because of his name. But yeah, people trade on it, and there is whataboutism, and there is Kushner, and there is Ivana Trump, and there is all of that goes on and on. But by the same token, that's the way it shakes out. So I think that the Democrats will likely have a chance to say, hey, look, we opened it up, and this was
I mean, it's a question of whether that the Democrats are always wanting to show you, look, we opened it up, and the Republicans are always just jihadists. So I don't know that it matters, but at least
it may not matter, and they may find something too. It may look.
As you say, it's a tricky.
But I don't know that he has any more power as a special counsel than he did as the, if you believe what he said. Has said that he was not restricted in any way and could go anywhere and do anything. Well, how has his powers changed? I don't think they've changed. I think it is a perception thing myself.
Kushner did get the money after he let me just speak to this quickly. John Slade, didn't Kushner get the money after Trump left office? Yes, of course he did. But the idea is that it's a quid pro quo. The money comes after you leave office, but the deal you make is during the time you're in office. And I'll say something else about Jared Kushner. His brother, and you should Google this because it will astound you, his brother made out like a literal bandit during COVID. He was shoveled all kinds of business from his brother, Jared Kushner, and it was sick. The amount of money is sick.
Google it.
Yeah, Google it and read about it. It'll make your blood boil.
And it doesn't have to be a living person. Look at the Trump Hotel, right? I mean, look at the emoluments there. I mean, it's the name of a president, a leader. It's going to get people in the door, and it did in those cases. And one more thing about perception is that Jim's wearing a Cubs hat, not a Montreal Canadiens hat.
That's true. I was going to point that out later on.
As he sits closer, from a distance, it really did look like a hat.
And one other point on that last caller or poster. The allegations against Hunter Biden are that he took bribe money before, in between the time that Biden was vice president and when he became president. There's no allegation that at this point that there's not even an allegation that he did it while Biden was president either. So
now let me get to what happened in Ohio this week. Because this speaks to what Avila has spoken of and what Shure has spoken of as well, and that is this blowback that the GOP is going to face from the electorate that doesn't like this continued effort to roll back women's reproductive rights. And in a move that was sort of underhanded, I would call it almost sleazy, to put this referendum up in the middle of summer, and when voter turnout is naturally depressed, and reproductive rights aren't really what the referendum is about. Maybe you guys can say that, but the vote wasn't even close. So, Jim, I thought of you when the results came in, because I thought, well, this is what Jim's talking about. And he feels that this is going to, and you as well, Michael, you've made the point. You feel like this is going to carry over into the next general.
Well, my track record will bear this out. I have a lot of experience with women. I am not an expert with women, but I can tell you that women are determined. They do not forget. If you snub them, you will pay for it. And the Republicans continue their war against women, and it is not working, even in their own states, even in places where they have the majority, places that you would expect the Republicans to win. And kudos to the female voter who are so upset about losing their rights to choose their own doctors, to choose their own medical care, and they will not sit still for the Republicans continuing to take that away. That is going to lose them every election, that this continues to be an issue.
3.1 million voters came out, right, in August, in an election that wasn't just abortion, that in some ways was convoluted to the average voter and why this affected abortion. But of those, the women came out, 60% more came out this time in Ohio than came out in 2022. Those are early voters, more black voters, more young voters. Young voters coming out on this issue, and they're coming out only on this issue in ways that they haven't in the past. That is only going to help Democrats and hurt Republicans. And so that's why this is, that when we talked first about the Dobbs decision being overturned, or the Dobbs decision overturning Roe, that there is a silver lining, albeit perverted silver lining, to losing an issue like this, is that it gets people animated, it gets people activated, and it gets people out to vote. And that's what Ohio, in a nothing election in the middle of the summer, that's what it proved.
No consensus.
The demographics
go ahead. Yeah.
The demographics in the electorate do not favor the Republicans. The young voters are coming in, this Generation Z. It's very, very Democratic, and they're really putting the pressure on Republicans. Republicans are flailing away to find ways to stop people from voting, because if they count the votes, they lose.
And there's going to be a moment at a presidential debate that is going to be shown over and over again, where some journalist is going to ask the Republican candidate about abortion, and the Republican candidate, beholden to his caucus, is going to have to answer that in a way that is really not going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, this is the division within the GOP. There are those who feel as though we have to get away from this issue around abortion, and then there are others who feel we got to own it. Laura Ingraham is one of the ones who, she's got a big mouthpiece on Fox News. She says this is the best thing that we've done in generations, is the reversal of Roe, and we have to not only own it, we have to scream it. We have to get it out there that we did it, we brought it home, and we can bring out more stuff like this. And that
I
seems
hope
like
she keeps saying it, because that is going to be the death of the Republican Party is themselves. And even Donald Trump, who has moderated his stance on abortion, he's taken credit, of course, for the Supreme Court, which he should, but he's kind of said, hey, back away from that issue. But don't forget, he's the one who in 2015 told Chris Matthews on an interview that women should be punished for getting an abortion, should be criminally punished for getting an abortion. So, don't let him get away with that. He is, even though he was pro-choice before, and he'll go whichever way the wind blows, he has said that in the past.
It also bolsters the notion electorally, I think, that it doesn't matter as much who the nominee for the Democrats is if this issue is as alive as it is. Because if it stands as it does now, you have an African-American woman as a running mate, and you have 81-year-old candidate who's a sitting president running. But this issue, no matter what, the people that care about this issue are going to defer to whoever is on that ticket at that time. And that's something that's really poisonous to the Republicans as well.
And this
Yeah,
is
it's an
sort of
anti-Trump, anti-Republican vote. It's not so much a pro-Biden vote. It's we reject what these guys are doing.
As it was last time, Biden will be, historic as a president who was elected because of his ability to beat the other person and get a working class blue collar Democratic coalition together. And if he wins again this time, it will be because of something else that isn't about Joe Biden.
That's essentially what I was about to say. You said it probably more eloquently than I was about to, but it's really not a go, go, go Joe Biden vote that's coming. It's a, wow, I can't stomach the stuff that's coming out of the opposition to Joe Biden, the GOP. So, guys, thank you. So appreciate your input and look forward to more. Michael, I delighted in your latest piece on TYT, and I look forward to more. And Jim, can't wait to your column next week, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much, Jim Avila, Michael Shure.
See you later.
Yeah, right on. Good guys.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Very lucky to have them here in the mix. I will take a break for news. Then the culture blaster, Michael Snyder, will be along. Yeah, Michael's got the word on all things streaming. Things are going down at the theater, whatever. But first, we'll, as I say, we'll take a break with Kim's News next. And sadly, we've had to push you a couple of times, Kim.
That's okay. I live for the segment with those guys. Those Jim Avila and Michael Shure, they're awesome. Love them.
I agree. They're so good.
I'll get bumped for those guys any day.
All right, cool. Smash the like button for both of them. Yes, go ahead.
I will say that I do have the video of Michael Shure interviewing Trump supporters, which is priceless. It is posted on the Mark Thompson Show Facebook page if anyone's interested in that.
Oh, that's very cool. And we might run a little bit of it on the main show next week. Speaking of videos we're going to run, I did the morning show in Los Angeles trying to rep our show. And they were really cool to give us some time. And I will, as I've told you, because I did promise you yesterday, will critique that appearance, at least a portion of it, with Kim and the crowd. And we'll do that if there's time on Monday. So those of you who want to see me roast myself and my performance, I will do so in front of all of you on Monday. Smash the like button. Kim's News next. Mark Thompson Show.
The planet Earth.
No. It's the, there you go. That's there.
The Mark Thompson Show.
That sounded a little sad this time. I don't know what's happening there.
That's weird, yeah.
I don't know. Hunter Biden, you mentioned him moments ago. Let's mention him again because it is big news today that a special counsel to investigate charges against Hunter Biden, of course, son of President Joe Biden, has been appointed. Attorney General Merrick Garland today said Delaware U.S. Attorney David Weiss requested special counsel status this week as the investigation continues. They have calls for a special counsel growing after that plea agreement between Hunter Biden and federal prosecutors fell apart in court as he was set to plead guilty to tax and weapons charges. The deal would have settled tax evasion and gun charges that Hunter was facing or is facing. Republicans have accused the Justice Department of giving Hunter preferential treatment in the case by offering him what they say is a sweetheart deal. Let's go to Lahaina now, where the death toll from the wildfires is now at 55. But again, they haven't looked inside any of these burned out structures yet. Hawaiian officials expect the number to keep rising as the rescue and recovery efforts continue in Maui. The town of Lahaina destroyed by this brush fire that started Tuesday. The governor of Hawaii, Josh Green, says the fire has left thousands homeless and it's destroyed more than 1,700 buildings. Officials say search and rescue teams, some of them from California now heading to Hawaii, will be using cadaver dogs as they comb through the ruins in Lahaina. The Lahaina fire, one of 3 wildfires fueled by dry conditions, still burning on Maui. Meanwhile, Hawaii's governor says as many as 1,000 people remain unaccounted for in Maui. A list is circulating on social media with about 3,000 names on it. The spreadsheet is updated if and when people are found. An investigation is underway after a 3-year-old child died aboard a bus of asylum seekers heading to Chicago. The Illinois Department of Public Health says the child died Thursday while the bus was entering the Chicago area. No other details released so far. Of course, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has sent thousands of migrants from Texas to Chicago. There is a tech executive who is pleading guilty to defrauding Qualcomm for $150 million.
Wow.
Prosecutors
That's
say
a lot of million.
That's a lot of moolah. Sanjeev Tejada, according to prosecutors, the ex-CEO of the tech firm Abrizio, sold his company to the San Diego-based semiconductor company Qualcomm under false pretenses. They say a former vice president at Qualcomm secretly worked with Tenea to push the deal through and then split the millions that Qualcomm paid. Prosecutors say they tried to hide the scheme through money laundering and deleted emails. Tenea will be sentenced in October, the former Qualcomm VP and another defendant currently awaiting trial.
My bad. I'm sorry.
I think you'll need to do more than that for $100 million.
I think that rises to the level of, I don't know.
Prison,
perhaps?
I stand corrected. It's not going to get it done. No,
that's just not going to work for you. No. Let's go.
No.
Let's go to the IRS because, another issue here. They can't find thousands of microfilm cartridges with millions of sensitive business and personal tax account records.
What?
Thank you. That is according to a report from the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. The review found significant deficiencies in the way the Internal Revenue Service keeps files safe.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Thank you.
That's my bad. I'm sorry.
3 oh my gods.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Exactly. All right. So they've lost all of these
thousands of microfilm cartridges with millions of sensitive business and personal tax account records. Yes, that's what's lost. So the IRS is legally required to keep them for a certain amount of time. The report says its physical inspection saw empty boxes labeled as having the backup cartridges. They have no explanation as to where they went, where they are, what happened.
They could be in Mar-a-Lago. I mean, that's where they put all those boxes, right?
In the bathtub.
That's right.
In the shower? Is that what we're doing there?
Check every shower in America. We'll go shower to shower to find it. Wow.
I mean, maybe they're in the ballroom. I don't know.
Unreal.
Jada had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, Jada didn't have anything to do with it. No. Cross her off the list of potential.
Okay. So I don't
suspects.
have a picture for this next one, but exciting big news in San Francisco. More robo-taxis are coming to the big city, both Cruise and Waymo receiving the nod from state regulators to provide service around the clock 7 days a week.
So all that Willie Brown lobbying apparently worked.
Hey, when Willie Brown wants it to happen, it happens, all right?
Yes.
Don't mess with Willie. There have been several incidents of autonomous vehicles malfunctioning or blocking roadways, leading to opposition from local residents and first responders, but never you mind about that. We got Cruise and Waymo cruising around San Francisco, and now apparently you have to pay to use it. So they're sending out emails with pay structures.
Yeah, just to put a point on that, Kim is right. Like it used to be, because it was in the beta testing stage, you could get into one of them for free now, and that was for months and months and months, right? But now they say, okay, they got the green light, and so now it's a ride like an Uber.
That's right. Get in, pay your fare, and then you know what's interesting about it is they say the whole autonomous vehicle. This is how it will work: that you pay a certain fee. They tell you up front how much it's going to be and what the route is. If they end up having to go a different route, apparently they say you still can take the same flight or the same, you still pay the same amount. So
that's good, because they oftentimes have to take a quite circuitous route. And if you want to see that, John Daly and I rode in one, and it's in our shorts on our channel. The Mark Thompson Show channel, under shorts, you'll see it. Our ride, it's only 60 seconds, but it takes us all over town on the way to the hotel. Yeah.
It's pretty funny. I think, were you guys drunk when you got in the back of that taxi?
We're most of the time drunk once the sun goes down in San Francisco.
I'm willing to bet my lunch there's alcohol
There's
involved.
alcohol involved.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol
She said it already.
involved.
You don't need to run it. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Archer Aviation is accelerating the path to market for its vertical takeoff and landing autonomous electric aircraft. The Santa Clara-based company secured a $215 million investment from Stellantis, Boeing, United Airlines, ARK Invest, and others. Archer has already received certification from the FAA for airworthiness. Archer Aviation, ready to go. We're going to be hopping aboard on our driveway, vertical liftoff, off we go to SFO. That's the way it's going to be.
That is going to be awful.
That's not fake. That's real.
I promise you, that is just going to be awful.
The future is here.
Yeah, exactly.
Supposing you brought the light inside the battery.
Yeah, right, exactly. That'll be the next thing they do.
X is getting very, very close to breaking even. That, according to social media platform CEO Linda Yaccarino. The company, formerly known as Twitter, downsized bigly and established new revenue streams, but has been struggling with ad revenue since Elon Musk bought it last November. But according to Yaccarino, X is getting very close to breaking even. So
that seems to me questionable. I mean,
and this is their new hoax.
Yeah, I think it is a hoax, Mr. President, Mr. Former President.
I believe you.
Yeah, I don't see how you're getting close to breaking even, but nice that they. I mean, look, I'll tell you the plan with X, and I'll just do this quickly because Michael Snyder's here. But obviously, Elon Musk wants to go beyond Twitter, wants to go beyond this message board posting thing. So X is designed to be the one-stop shop on anything the equivalent of commercial and business exchanges that you might associate with, like an Amazon.com, buying concert tickets, buying flights, he wants X to be the portal through which you can do any number of things in the way of commerce. X, he wants to be the new beginning of a technology that opens up the world to you. Okay, so he didn't buy X for it to be Twitter. He bought X for it to do those things that I just mentioned. That's the plan.
Yeah, well, okay, whatever, Elon. Lastly,
it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
I mentioned this a little earlier, but it's because it's happening tomorrow, or the best time to see it is tomorrow. I just want to hit it home. The best light show of the year will be playing this weekend. The annual Perseid meteor shower runs from mid-July to late August, like it has a run date, right? It'll peak Saturday night.
It premieres late July. Right,
the official premiere. Yes, the curtains will open
for award season. Right.
It peaks on Saturday night. They say watching the sky, especially on a clear, dark sky night, will offer views anywhere from dozens to 100 meteors per hour.
Wow, Michael, you peak on Saturday night, isn't that right?
What?
Yeah, I think so. Right. So how many every hour? How many?
Between a dozen to a few dozen to 100. Depends on where you are and how much you can see it. They are going 37 miles per second as they zip across the sky. NASA says the best viewing is a couple hours before sunrise, but it starts at 10 p.m. So you'll be able to see them. It starts the official start date. Yeah,
right. Don't miss Act 1.
We don't know.
Right.
Yeah, but the darker it is, if you find a dark place to view it without all the city lights, that's supposed to be the best. So Perseid meteor shower on the way in. This report is crowdfunded, which means we rely on you. We're so grateful. You can find us at themarkthompsonshow.com. The Patreon link is there. The PayPal link is there. So many good things are there, as a matter of fact. And the super chat is live. I'm Kim McAllister. It is The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Feels great. When they raided Mar-a-Lago, God didn't like that.
Right on, everybody. Great to have you here on a Friday. Got to tell you that I saw some super stickers come in. I want to quickly acknowledge them before we get to Michael. Pamela Kirby, always with us. Love that she's here. Brings it every day. Come on, Pamela Kirby.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to Pamela. Thanks for 5. Pinky also usually throws us $1 a day. I'll take it.
Big shout out.
I'm just a busker on the street. Happy for $1. Thanks, Pink. And is super stickering us for $50.
Big shout out.
And super generous. Ann Gilbertson. And I'm going to say something else.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
I'm not going to, but
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
50 gets me there, man. It does.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry.
Thank you, Ann Gilbertson. Very, very cool. We love you and appreciate.
I misspoke.
No, we love you. And I mentioned that we did that. We did that to Super Chat. That was a Super Chat from earlier. But thank you, Dragon, for the 50.
Big shout out.
Appreciate that. Kathleen Bryant, thanks for a 20 for the super
out.
sticker. You can super sticker and super chat us anytime, even after we're on the air live. You can, as you know, for any short, for any posting, for any video, if you like something, you can donate that way. We're crowd-funded, so sadly we have to hit that. But Kathleen Bryant, thank you for that 20. Really, really cool. Big shout out to all of you.
Out.
I look forward to Fridays because this guy is he is pretty terrific. I want to say he's 100%. When it comes to reviews, recommendations, he is without peer. He covers the world of movies, of streaming, of music. It was a big loss this week in music, wasn't it, Michael Snyder?
Indeed.
He comes and goes on a rainbow. He's Michael Snyder, everybody, the Culture Blaster. Michael, hello.
Hey, good morning, Mark. Good morning, Kim. Good morning to all the ships at sea. It's been a tough week, and if you don't understand that the Maui inferno is more evidence of the climate crisis, you, my friend, are part of the problem. And, I don't know what to tell you other than that. Sending love to Hawaii. I listened to Kim's newscast, and it's only a matter of time before the first cruise on Waymo accident. You know I'm right.
Oh, that's a great point. You think when two automated vehicles
I don't know about
meet at a San Francisco intersection.
I would love to see two driverless vehicles try to exchange insurance information. You know that'd be hilarious. What do they send out? Robot arms or something?
What do they do in that situation? That's
a
very good. That's very, very tough.
All the news about Clarence
Thompson.
Thomas.
There are processes.
We have processes and protocols and standards.
I'm sure there are, but I don't know what they are.
The Clarence Thomas news and all that. It's getting to me.
I come from regular stock.
Yeah.
I actually attended a Washington, D.C. cocktail party with Clarence Thomas and his wife, and I will just say that there's a good reason why her name is Ginny.
Anyway. For the Walmart parking lots.
I love it. I love it. Ginny, I get it. I get it.
So two quick notes. One, love that you interviewed my friend Kate Flannery earlier in the week. Terrific interview. That book is wonderful, Striptease. And
she was great. Thank you for turning us on to her.
My pleasure. And we're very, very sorry to have lost Robbie Robertson, the driving wheel of the band, the Americana Innovators, and he was also a music supervisor in film. He did a little acting opposite, believe it or not, Angelica Houston, and I think also that Jack Nicholson guy in a movie called The Crossing Guard, directed by Sean Penn.
That's a very depressing movie, as I recall.
It was, but Robbie Robertson was really pretty good in it, and it's a terrible loss, and I loved all of his music and all of the band's music while he was in the group. And it's a loss. And Sixto Rodriguez, whose story is an amazing one, and you can see it in the documentary "Searching for Sugarman," or Sugar Man, which I totally recommend you seek out. He was a guy who was discovered late in life through a variety of record collectors and fans and what have you. So Robbie Robertson and Sixto Rodriguez, as Greg Proops would say, they're swirling in the stars now.
Yeah, really sad losses, but. I think you're right. Probably revisiting some of their stuff would be smart. And
agreed. Shall we talk film?
Yeah. Glad you changed your picture, Culture Blaster, says Citizen Swain.
Oh, Citizen Swain always has something to say.
All right. Go ahead.
Let's get into the movies. Gran Turismo, which is actually subtitled, and here's a shout out to Brett, based on a true story, in case you have any doubts, is intended to be a feel-good underdog triumphing over the odds movie about Jan Mardenborough, an actual working-class teenager from the UK whose expertise at playing the elaborate Gran Turismo racing simulator video game leads him into the real world of professional racing.
No.
So a Nissan promotion brings him and a group of other gamers into a training program and competition to win a spot on Nissan's actual pro racing team. There are a few podium quality actors involved here. We got David Harbour. You know him and you love him from Stranger Things, and he's also in the Marvel Universe. He plays the ex-driver who was recruited to instruct the video kids and choose one to make the leap into the big time. You get the seemingly absent of late Orlando Bloom as the Nissan PR guy who dreams up what starts out as a stunt but gets serious for the gamers, especially Martinborough. And the great actor Jimon Honsu as Martinborough's disapproving dad, and newcomer Archie Madekwe. I'm so sorry.
I was going to give you credit for pronouncing it correctly.
No, Archie Madekwe. There's a missing consonant. I'm sorry, Mark.
No, I think you did pretty well with that. By the way, shout out to Larry. Thanks for the trunk. Thank you for the super sticker. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, he's a very likable young man, and he plays Jan himself. And oh my God, is that Jerry Ginger Spice Hallowell as Jan's mom? Talk about a wannabe, and that's a reference to the Spice Girls' first and biggest hit. Actually, Jerry's. Yeah, Jerry's okay, man. Yeah. Jerry's okay. So Gran Turismo is diverting and filled with kind of visceral excitement when it's on the track.
Oh, I get what you did. Visceral, those are dang words.
Yeah. That's when the advances in cinematic sound and vision and the skills of the director make the movie roar. And that director happens to be South Africa's Neil Blomkamp, who first gained attention with the great sci-fi parable District 9, still a great watch.
Yeah, parable's a ding word.
And then made the lesser sci-fi actioner Elysium with Matt Damon and a few other like weirder movies like Chappie. But Gran Turismo is 2 hours and 15 minutes long, and by the end, you feel it. I'm not saying that it goes around.
Too much exhaust for you by the end?
I think so. Yeah. It's not that it goes around in circles, if you get my drift.
Oh, I totally get that.
Some of the races are actually Grand Prix events, not just raceway repetition. Despite the automotive thrills, there are pedestrian passages that slow the momentum. And when you're dealing with cars that go fast, pedestrian should not be the goal. Still, its true aspects are remarkable. This is a real story. And as racing movie goes, this is one. and when it puts you in the driver's seat like a ginormous video game, it's effective. So it's in theaters where it needs to be seen if it's your thing.
Right.
Unless you have one of them super big high-def screens at home and can wait until it's available for streaming. Gran Turismo, meh review.
Wow.
It has its moments, though. It does... It pops up there on the big screen.
All right. Gran Turismo meh.
Okay, if you read horror novels, if you're a fan of Bram Stoker's immortal Dracula, you know that the renowned vampire known as Count Dracula leaves Transylvania or Romania or wherever his castle was and makes his way to England for some fresh blood. And maybe the Eastern European blood was too spicy for him. I don't know. Maybe he wanted some of that blander, thinner British varietal. I do not know. But he travels from Transylvania to England. Well, whatever the situation, The Last Voyage of the Demeter is a movie based on the chapter of Stoker's novel that concerned the ocean voyage of a merchant ship tasked with bringing a cargo hold full of wooden crates from the Eastern European port of Carpathia to London. And one of these crates houses a deadly, hungry, supernatural force. Guess who? Anyway, so the captain of the ship, played by Liam Cunningham, you may remember from Game of Thrones, he's about to retire. And he's bringing his young grandson along on the last voyage. And yes, it's going to be the last voyage in more than one way. And that is not a spoiler. It's in the title, Mark. Come on.
Oh, my gosh. They killed a kid, the grandson?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's the last voyage.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was great. I loved it.
The crew of the Demeter, including a university-educated doctor played by the very versatile Corey Hawkins from Straight Outta Compton, In the Heights, and Kong Skull Island. I mean, consider the diversity there.
Wow.
There's the captain's grandson, of course, and there's a female stowaway who's suffering from a debilitating illness, and they are all targets for the predator who hides below decks by day and stalks everyone by night.
Oh, by night it gets rough, yeah.
Anyway, the creature is very well realized, and the ship serves as a decent floating haunted house from which escape is difficult. It wasn't terrible, and as directed by Andre Overdahl, there are moments of genuine terror, but it's not a classic. It simply kind of disappears after watching it, like a certain blood-sucking monster evaporates into mist and reforms as a bat and flies. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
anyway, would I give it a pass for home viewing to kill a weekend night? Absolutely.
Yeah.
For now, The Last Voyage of the Demeter is only in theaters, so impatient supernatural movie completists will be best served opting for a bargain matinee.
Or waiting. If you're a theater and you go for the matinee, and if you're just wanting to check it out, wait for the streaming.
Yes. So if you're looking for a fizzy, good-natured LGBTQI plus friendly rom-com with pointed wit and sex positivity, Amazon has good news for you. They're dropping Red, White, and Royal Blue today. It's a harmless fantasy, lightly dusted with political subtext, wherein the son of a female U.S. president, clearly a Democrat, and the grandson of a king of England, clearly an aristocratic prig, are drawn to one another after the initial friction between them melts away. Both are handsome young men with good hearts. Both are feeling a little oppressed by their duties and their respective positions on the world stage. Ladies' man and party hardy Alex Claremont Diaz wants to be more involved with his mother's administration, while England's beloved Prince Henry is committed to bringing honor and dignity to the royal family. But Alex and Henry are involved in a fracas at the wedding of Henry's brother, heir to the British throne. The massive media coverage of the incident forces Alex and Henry to make public amends, which leads to a thawing of U.S.-UK relations, so to speak. Anyway, Taylor...
Fracas, I'll ding, and I missed a completist. It's a ding.
If you say so. Taylor Zakar Perez as Alex and Nicholas Galitzine as Henry have nice chemistry, while Uma Thurman and Clifton Collins Jr. as the president and the first husband are superfluous but able, as is the great Stephen Fry as the King of England. In case you don't know, Fry was a longtime comedy partner of Hugh Laurie. They did the wonderful Jeeves and Wooster TV series, which I suggest people seek out, and Fry was part of the brilliant cast of the historical and hysterical sitcom Black Adder. Considering his background, I must say that wasting Fry's comedic skills on his brief cameo as the king is almost like abusing the rod of equity and mercy.
Oh, I'm glad you recognize that. Superfluous is a ding word.
Sure. Ultimately, Red, White, and Royal Blue, the first movie written and directed by the Tony Award-winning playwright Matthew Lopez, is charming piffle with an inclusive message. Fun on Amazon Prime Video starting
Piffle
today.
is a ding, and I got
Receive the rod of equity and
mercy. It doesn't get it, though. It's not deserving.
No, I point that thing somewhere else. Jules is a sweet little film about the trials of growing old as seen through the lens of a whimsical science fiction tale. Ben Kingsley plays a retired widower named Milton who lives alone in a small Pennsylvania town and is kind of just marking time and, according to his concerned daughter, possibly losing his faculties until a UFO crashes into his backyard and brings this petite, enigmatic alien into his life. Of course, government agencies have spotted this anomaly from space, but are unsure what it is or where it is and would like to find it. And it's up to Milton and two of his peers, played by Harriet Sansom Harris and her fellow sitcom vet Jane Curtin of SNL, to cope with the alien who they name Jules. If this sounds like E.T. for elders to you, you are not far off, although the plight of older folks left to their own devices has genuine poignancy. Kingsley is quite good, albeit restrained in his performance as Milton, a senior citizen seeking purpose, and who may find it as he tries to befriend his visitor from beyond. Casting Kingsley in a role like this may seem like getting a cannon to kill a mayfly, but Jules, which is directed by Mark Turteltaub, works on its own terms. Although it's not as cosmic as it might like to be, and it's kind of disposable, it definitely moved me in a gentle way. Jules is in theaters.
Wow, you liked it. Ben Kingsley, interesting, Michael. He was 64 years old when he married his most recent wife. His fourth wife. I know this because I know Ben Kingsley trivia. And Kim,
What?
I don't know if you're still, yes. But how old was Ben Kingsley's fourth wife as he's 64? Michael shaking his head. He hates that I distract from his... But I'm allowing Kim to weigh in on this. How, and everybody else, how old is Ben Kingsley, who's the star of Jules, Michael's recommendation?
Yeah, a pleasant movie.
Pleasant movie. He stars. He's just married his fourth wife. And I believe, when I say just, this is his most recent wife. He's 64. How old is she?
Wait. Now, is she Jerry Lee Lewis's granddaughter?
She is. Her name is Daniela Lavender, his fourth wife. She's an actress.
That's not her real name. Lavender is her last name? Daniela Lavender.
How old do you think she is?
I'm Kim Rose. So wait, you said he's 64? Because
Right.
I thought he was a lot older than that.
No. He was 64 when they got married in September of 2007.
Okay, that makes more sense now.
Yeah, do the math, Kim.
Do the math.
So how old is she right now?
No. How old was she when they got married? He was 64. How old?
She was 32, I'm going to guess.
33. I will award points. Excellent. Well done.
Wow,
Well
I was
done.
close.
Michael, back to you.
Okay, well, let's wrap things up on the movie front. Internationally acclaimed leading lady and a superstar in her native France. This is my favorite film of the week, by the way. Juliette Binoche seldom disappoints. She has major big-budget movies on her resume, but she's just as likely to do a small, emotionally resonant movie like her latest French feature, Between Two Worlds. Directed and co-written with a sensitive touch by Emmanuel Carrère, Between Two Worlds has Binoche playing Marianne Winkler, a successful author who is concerned about the economic exploitation of the working class, so she goes to the northern seaside town of Caen. To investigate the hardship facing all too many in the population, she passes herself off as penniless and a job seeker who would like to work as a cleaning woman, which leads her to form relationships with fellow workers under false pretenses, but with presumably good intentions. There's sort of like a poor like me vibe here. You know, the well-to-do woman slumming to see how the little people live. There's a certain implied nobility to the idea of a famous author getting her hands dirty to reveal the plight of the desperate and demeaned underclass. And there's more than a little undercover boss as well when you see this thing. Marianne and her new comrades have to clean a lot of toilets, let me tell you.
Wow.
And to its credit, Between Two Worlds does what Marianne's book wants to do. It shines a light on the sad truth of those who need to do tedious, unpleasant, but admittedly honest work for barely subsistence wages, and it doesn't shy away from the idea that Marianne is exploiting the people she encounters and befriends.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
but maybe not as much as the employees exploit them, or the employers rather.
Sure, subsistence.
In any case, Binoche is as good as ever, and the supporting cast comes off as very, very real, all too real. Between Two Worlds is another worthy addition to the Binoche filmography. It is in select theaters.
Filmography. Nice job.
You know, Mark, two points that I want to get to.
Yes, sir.
One is one of my favorite TV shows is Back Baby, and that would be, are you ready?
Yeah.
Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, yeah. Only Murders in the Building. We do love it.
It's on Hulu. It's third season. The amateur detective trio of Charles, Oliver, and Mabel, as in Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez, welcome Paul Rudd and Meryl Streep to the building.
Wow. That is going to be strong.
Well, things actually start with the long-shamed Broadway maven Oliver finally returning to the Great White Way to direct a murder mystery with Charles in a supporting role, but the production is thrown askew on opening night when someone is murdered.
Wow. Now, Oliver's played by
Marty Short.
Yeah.
Anyway, this leads to more mordant fun, and they go back to the building for a variety of reasons. You know, the show continues to hit it out of the ballpark.
It really is a funny show, huh? I mean, it's a good show. It's also, you know, Courtney loves the murder stuff and listens to a lot of murder podcasts and watch a lot of. She says the kind of the murder yarn holds up too. The mystery holds up.
Genuinely speaking, I would say so. And this one looks like it's going to be a naughty one. The only other thing I do want to point out to people is Bruce Bochy is back in San Francisco tonight at Oracle Park with the Rangers.
Sure.
The team that after a hiatus from managing, he decided to helm. And of course, he's well loved in San Francisco, forever giant. And this should be an interesting, I'm sure he's going to be welcomed with an ovation. And then hopefully the Giants will kick the Rangers' ass. It's only available for you TV viewers on Apple TV. It's part of that Apple TV Friday night baseball program.
Of course, yeah.
Which may mean that Hunter Pence will be among the commentators. I hope so, because he's getting his feet wet doing that, and he's done a pretty good job.
What a great ball player he was when he was with the Giants.
So true.
Askew is a ding word. I will review quickly Only Murders in the Building. You heard from Michael how much he likes it. Between Two Worlds, the Juliette Binoche film, he liked that. He liked kind of the window on this underclass that is asked to do so much in society, and then the questions and cross-currents about both focusing on them, as Juliette Binoche's character does, but also exploiting them. It sounded like that was sort of interesting. Jules is the Ben Kingsley led film about alien visitors, it would seem. Is that kind of the...
One alien visitor.
Okay.
And one older guy that, needs to find purpose.
Yeah, and Ben Kingsley is the older man who married the much younger woman, which
who, in fact, was an alien.
Yeah.
No, maybe not.
Still to be the rest of the story.
Is she from America?
I don't know. Maybe that's to be continued.
Can you let him finish?
Yeah, maybe if we let him finish, he'll do. Red, white, and royal blue. He thought it tried to make some points.
It's cute.
Lib points about inclusiveness and all the, But it's cute with a small c, is what I got from you.
Right.
The Last Voyager of the Demeter wasn't terrible. Directed by Andre Overdahl. It's about, I believe it's about a vampire stored away in a...
in the hold of a merchant ship.
Well,
a werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that?
I did not know that, Herschel Walker. That is really, I forgot about that. Herschel Walker, he wasn't in the movie, was he?
Actually, he played one of the deckhands.
A werewolf can kill a vampire. Did you know that?
Gran Turismo, so much going on. He likes a lot of what's going on in that movie. Orlando Bloom's in it, but ultimately,
yeah. The bigger films this week were sort of disappointments to an extent, but did have some value for those people who have a passion for racing or seeing someone's neck torn apart and blood splattered everywhere. Those first. The other films are a little better, and the real great film of the bunch is Between Two Worlds.
Love it. Michael, love you, love our visits, and look forward to the next one. Go Giants. He comes and goes on a rainbow.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye-bye, Michael Snyder. So good that he comes by. Love my Snyder fix. Love that Culture Blaster thing. You can find him across social media under that handle, Culture Blaster.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I know, we have to wrap up. We really do. I don't want to wrap up. I want to stay. I'm not anxious to wrap up particularly.
Well, you can always join us on the After Party Live if you'd like to keep the Mark Thompson Show going.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah,
I'm going to join you actually as a viewer.
Oh, okay.
Not so much as a participant in any other way, but as a viewer. I do want to thank.
Thanks,
I haven't.
Mark.
I haven't had a chance to mention, so I'll just mention quickly on the way out here. Thanks to everybody who supported us, regardless of whether you're watching. Super sticker. Thanks, Pinky. Always good with the super sticker. The pink is always in to throw us a buck or two. Appreciate that. And I also wanted to acknowledge Larry, who I think made a $20
big shout out.
Yeah, big shout out, right, to Larry. Who made a
awesome.
I think he referenced the fact that we had I think done a back and forth on. There he is, Larry Henderson. Thanks so much, Larry. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Larry, just one of those who supports us during the show, and you can support us during the show on Monday, or you can be a Patreon or PayPal participant. That's the way you support the show on an ongoing basis. We mention it. We have to because we are crowdfunded. So thank you. TheMarkThompsonShow.com. Go there and click on the Patreon or PayPal, and you'll find ways to support us. TheMarkThompsonShow.com. The last thing I wanted to tell you is that someone asked if Sam Rubin's going to be back on the show, and the answer is yes.
Awesome.
Sam Rubin will be back on the show. So we will get that going as well. I don't know what more I can tell you, aside from the fact that we've learned so much about each other today. Isn't that what this is all about? Monday brings a new fleet of things to the show. We'll update all issues. Of course, our heart is with Hawaii, and we'll update that situation over the weekend. The other thing I want to mention to you is I believe it'll be Monday or Tuesday. Talk to a Rando brings another random listener who has reached us who wants to be on the show into our mix. It'll be Monday or Tuesday. If you want to be one of those people, just reach us at themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com, and we will have you on. And then now it's I'm going to stand clear. Yeah, shutting down, right? It is Kim and John on the After Party Live channel. Go check it out, the After Party Live, everybody.
I'm Shadow Stevens for The Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Who doesn't need an after party? And I want it to be live.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
And there it is. Till Monday. Bye-bye.